morning and welcome. Can we try that again? Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose, and here we are on this beautiful, beautiful day. And so we let it be. And we allow ourselves to be still in the sweetness that Sue brought us to with her elegant words. Let us take some deep breaths together, and as we do, settle ever more into that stillness of being that we carry with us always. And as we allow ourselves to be still and to know, let us open our hearts to listen to the words of our sacred reading.
From It's All God by Walter Starkey. Become quiet. Listen. Really listen to that still small voice, which is, I am. Continue to sit quietly. Close your eyes to the pictures you see, with your eyes and with your mind. Look unto me, the I that I am. Allow my words, this pearl of great price, I, to permeate your being. Feel it. Feel it to the roots of your soul. Dare to know that I am God. Say it over and over, knowing you are talking to the true nature of your being. Let every cell in your body respond to that I, that is its being. Feel it breathe yourself into your whole being. Realize that you are depending on no one and nothing other than the I of your being. Use your imagination. Listen to the I of your divine self. Be still and know that I is your name, the name of God. Get acquainted with yourself. Stop believing that you are just a body, just an intellect, just a person. Know that you includes your body, your intellect, your persona, and that I am, which encompasses your whole universe. I am.
And take a moment just to feel the support of this community, holding one another in the remembrance of I am. And feeling that divine mystery, that profound support that is so filled with wonder. Let us breathe in deeply and then exhale, opening our eyes, loving what is as it is, and so it is.
mystery man. I come to you for answers, trying to solve the puzzles in my brain. Did you know a mighty wind came rushing in and took my love in a hurricane? Do clouds relate to one another? Or do they get so tense that they have to blow? I don't know science, but I know my heart aches every time a loved one has to go. Mystery man, you've got it all together. That's why everybody comes to you. I suppose I should have asked you sooner, then I'd know exactly what to do. I'm wondering, why can't people live forever? And can you tell me, where do I belong? Can you show me which way leads to heaven? Can you give me the answers to this song? Life ain't that simple. It cannot be, mystery man. I just want to understand. No, mystery man. I just want to understand.
I got nothing. That song said it all. It was great. Thank you. Thank you so much. So beautiful. A few Sundays ago, I came here to work, to church, to do the Sunday service. And when I came up the steps to the Laurel entrance, I noticed that the social hall doors were wide open. And I wondered, wow, that looks very welcoming. What are we doing that for? Because usually just one is open. And I walked into the social hall, and there was a hummingbird that was trapped in the social hall, that was flying around madly, its little hummingbird heart beating at probably 2,000 beats per minute, just frantically trying to get out. It was trying to get out the windows at the top, which we can't open. We had the doors wide open so that it could fly out, but it just wasn't having any part of that. And so I stood there with several of the volunteers, and we were perplexed about the bird and wanting to see it be free. And then I said something to the effect of, well, we do that prayer circle at 9:30. Perhaps we can all just pray that the bird is free. And so 9:30 came around, and all of the volunteers and the ministry leaders gather together in Annette's office, and we join hands, and we do this kind of a combination of spin the bottle and prayer. We have this little spin thing that I flick, and it spins, and it points to someone, and whoever it points to has the option of kissing the person to their right or their left, or praying. That day, when the bird was in the social hall, the spinner thing pointed at me. I don't remember who I was standing next to or why I didn't kiss them, but I chose instead to pray. And so I did the usual prayer that the service is divinely guided, divinely blessed, that we are all instruments of spirit, that we are showing up, allowing the radiance of God, and that the congregation is filled and just filled with the beauty and the love of God, and that we create something magnificent together, all of us. And then it got to the part about the bird. And I started to pray, Spirit, I absolutely know that that little bird is flying out the window to its bird home out in Ventura somewhere. But I stopped myself because I said something to the effect of, well, Spirit, my preference is that that bird goes out the door because I think that's what would make the bird happy. But Spirit, I think you know best. So thy will be done. And so it is. I'll tell you what happened with the bird a little later on. You're going to have to wait for it. But before we get there, I want to talk a little bit about this idea of thy will be done and the idea that we create everything that happens to us. Do those two coexist? I don't know. Let's figure it out. Many of us were drawn to this teaching because we felt like it gave us a certain sense of mastery over our environment or over what happens. I know that I started working with the science of mind when I lived in New York. I was taking an acting class when I lived in New York, and the teacher said, here is a book that you all have to read. It's You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. How many people have read that book? Probably a lot of you. And it's a great book, and she's explained this philosophy so clearly in a way that reached millions of people. And I remember reading in that book that she says that we create everything that happens to us, and we have to take complete responsibility for our lives. And also in one of our creeds, in the Science of Mind Creed, which is called What We Believe, Ernest Holmes says, we believe in the control of conditions through the power of the universal mind. I'm paraphrasing slightly, but that's the gist of it. Walter Starkey, in our featured book, It's All God, the Flowers and the Fertilizer, the book that we're looking at for these past couple of months, he says, we can control our universe. And I'm fond of talking about one of my practitioner students from my former church when I worked at North Hollywood. When it comes time for the practitioners to get their license, practitioners are like our spiritual counselors, they get licensed. And when it comes time for them to take their licensing exam, we have to quiz them all the time, and we're fond of asking them, explain the science of mind teaching in 25 words or less. This guy said he could do it in 3 words or less. And I said, really? What is it? He said, it's your fault. For those of you who are taking your test this year, wouldn't go with that answer, okay? Just so you know. So I think a lot of the origins of this philosophy come out of a time when people were attending and participating in religions that told them that they were powerless and sometimes caused people to feel really bad about themselves, that they had absolutely no mastery or no control over their thoughts or no control over how happy they could be. But there is a shadow side to all of those things that I just mentioned, the control of conditions and believing that we create everything that happens to us. And the shadow side is somewhat encapsulated in the phrase, it's your fault. Even though we all laughed about it, I'm sure that either we or we have known people that when something challenging or difficult or even terrible happens in their life, people sometimes in New Thought philosophies will go to a place of self-blame and guilt. and they don't like the way like I've never done it. You people, we, let's say that way, we don't like the way that feels, that self-blame and guilt and feeling like we've created something really awful. And so when we don't like how it feels, we scramble around trying to fix the effects, trying to fix the universe, trying to fix the world around us, trying to control it so that we can feel better again. I think it's time to let go of some of that and to start to cultivate a more mature approach to the idea of controlling conditions and cultivating the idea that we are in charge of our lives. And I believe that the more mature approach is right here in this spiritual center. We've been working with it for years, but it's coming into fruition in a fuller way now through some of the work that we're doing. And I believe that a more mature approach and idea to the idea that we control conditions or that we create what happens to us comes through our willingness to look at definitions, perspective, and paradox. And so I'm going to be talking about those things all sort of mingled in with what I'm saying next. Definitions, perspective, and paradox. You may have noticed this, but many of us, all of us, if we're human, travel with a companion that, I don't know if it comes in with us, but it certainly attaches to us or becomes part of us as we start to grow up, maybe around age 2 or so. And this is a necessary part of our being, and that is what we might call the ego. The ego is something that is just part of us, and it can really serve us in wonderful ways. The ego gives us something to do. It gives us something to transcend. I know mine gives me something to transcend almost every day, many times a day. Many times a day before I even get out of bed. My ego gives me something to do. When we get in trouble with ego, though, is when we start allowing ego to run the show. You know, when we say something like, I believe in the control of conditions, the ego goes, why, yes, thank you. I thought you'd never ask. I do believe in the control of conditions, and I am going to control everything and squeeze the universe into a pleasing shape that I like. This, are you laughing because this sounds familiar by any chance? Okay. This is, right, not laughing, okay. This is addressed by Deepak Chopra when he talks in one of his books, I think it's The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, where he talks about how everything that happens is part of a grand universal cosmological scheme. And that everything that happens that brought us to this moment that we're trying to resist so badly, the whole universe conspired to bring us that moment. And when we resist that moment, when we try and control it, when we try and slap it into a pleasing shape, then it's as if we are fighting with the entire universe. How many of us want to fight with the entire universe? Really? Sometimes we want to, and at the same time we don't want to. So, you know, the answer to the idea of do we control conditions, do we create what happens to us, are we 100% responsible for our lives? I think it's very similar to that question that I often ask you all about the glass. Is the glass half full, and is the glass half empty? And the answer to that question is yes. The glass is half empty and half full at the same time. And there are times when we do control our destinies and times when we do create our lives. And there are times when there is something greater than our small self that is doing that. And I believe that the reconciliation of that comes through what I just said a moment ago, through perspective, paradox, and definitions. So I'm going to take this phrase from Walter Starkey's book where he says, we can control our universe. Part of that makes me cringe. It's like, you want me to control the whole universe? But I don't think that's exactly what he means. I'm going to personalize it for us and say, I can control my universe, or I control my universe. You just say that silently to yourself for a minute. I control my universe. To me, it feels comfortable and uncomfortable at the same time. So let's talk about what those words actually mean. What is the universe? What is the universe? Well, there are certain people sitting in the front row that would say that we don't even know if the universe really exists or if we're here. The universe is infinite possibilities. The universe is beyond imagination, beyond words, but we have this thing called perspective where we select, or perception, where we select from the infinite possibilities and we say, this is reality. So when that bird was flying around the social hall, I focused on that infinite possibility and then projected my own anxiety about the bird onto the bird and saying, that bird doesn't want to be in here, that bird feels trapped, I want that bird to be free. That was my universe in that moment. So the universe, what if we define the universe as the story that we tell ourselves about reality all the time? You know, he says we can control our universe. Our universe is the story that we tell ourselves about reality all the time. We are always telling ourselves a story about reality, and reality just is, but we see what we think about, right? The universe is the story that we tell ourselves about reality. And let's look at that word, control. What does control mean? I know that my ego believes control is trying to get everything to succumb to my will, trying to shape everything into something that pleases me. And it's usually because I feel badly about myself. And if this effect out here, whether it's my checkbook or my relationship or my job or whatever, if this looks bad, it makes me feel bad about myself. So I try and control that so that I can feel good about myself. And that's mixing up cause and effect. This out here is not cause. I am cause. The I am presence is cause. So what if control is really not control? What if control is not what we think control is, but if we look at it through a higher perspective, what if control is the willingness to stop in any moment and say that everything that happens is part of the evolution of consciousness? Everything that happens to us or through us is part of our awakening. Everything that happens is a necessary aspect of good evolving on the planet Earth. What if we have the willpower to do that? And then what if we have the willpower to also say that there is a high purpose in this and I just may not be able to see it. So Spirit, inform me with the highest purpose, the highest vision, the highest perception that I can have for this event or this condition that I am struggling so hard to change. That is profound non-resistance. And I would go so far as to say that control is in truth surrender. Control is the new surrender, just like orange is the new black. I see some of you have seen that program. Yeah. So when we allow control to be the new surrender, we do open ourselves up to be informed by something else, right? And that something else is that third word that I want to define. We defined universe. Universe is the story that we tell ourselves about reality. Control is really surrender. And then there's that I word, I, the letter I. Who is I? Is it the I of the small self, the ego? No, it is sometimes, but as we're evolving, as we're spiritually maturing, we recognize more and more that the I that we speak of is the I am. The I am that was so present in that reading that Hugh extracted from this Walter Starkey book. The I am presence that spoke to Moses and said, I am that I am. And when asked, who sent you, say that I am sent you. The I am that spoke through Jesus and applied it to all of us, that I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life, I am the life, I am the bread, I am the wine, I am the water, I am omnipresence, I am omniscience, I am omnipotence. And if I am is all of those things, as we are part of omnipresence, because we are part of what is, then we are all of those things too. So, I am is the creator within us. We get our smaller I out of the way, and we allow ourselves to create from that place of I am. That place of I am that informs us of the highest perspective to have of any condition or situation that comes our way. So we talked about universe, what the universe means. We talked about what control is. We talked about what I is. And if this all feels a little confusing, it probably is a little confusing, but that's just a good sign, because it just means that you're up against the mystery and you're about to go even deeper into your heart, into understanding this vastness known as God. You know, to translate it, I control my universe. What does that really mean? If I can translate it in a couple of sentences, it means that the I am presence that I am is constantly working through me to surrender and bring forth the highest and best perspective so that I can have a beautiful and magnificent view of the truth of reality, the truth of existence, of good in everything. Does that sound like a good way to control your universe? I think it does. I think it feels like that feels very true to me and very real. I is not the small I. I is I am. Some of you may be wondering, well, what about manifestation and my heart's desires? You know, it sounds like I'm saying, let thy will be my will, and I am. But when we talk about manifestation and heart's desires, and probably the hundreds of sermons that I've done up here about creating what you want in your life, manifesting what you want in your life, I don't see the two as mutually exclusive. Who placed your heart's desires in your heart? I am. Who inspired you with your heart's desire? I am. Who is telling you to get your butt off the couch and put down the remote and do something about your heart's desire? I am. And you know I'm not saying me. I am not going to come to your house and pull you off the couch away from Orange is the New Black and get you to do something. It's the I am presence that is motivating us, that has implanted us with these beautiful, beautiful heart's desires that we can cultivate and that we can just open up to receive more and more. You know, if you're in doubt about how to do this, I think that Edwene Gaines had a beautiful perspective on this in her book and when she spoke here in September. And she talked about how, yes, we can set down goals in writing. We can set a list of things that we wish to accomplish or achieve or manifest or experience in our lives. But doing the work to achieve or manifest those goals is not necessarily manipulating the outside world to make those things happen. It is looking at those goals, reading them every single day, and then asking ourselves, I am. What is it that I am to change or alter or adjust within myself so that I may be the vessel for these beautiful goals that you have implanted within me? That's powerful. Powerful way to move through life, because it takes the emphasis off of trying to manipulate it takes the emphasis off of trying to manipulate effects in order to make us happy, and it restores our true nature, the nature of cause within us. And that's where we really get to play, and that's where we really get to shine, and that's where life really becomes incredibly fun. And we can say, yes, I control my universe because I am one with God, and God is creating everything through me, and everything that happens, I can open and receive and embody a new perspective that names it beautiful. Do you understand that? I hope so. Like I said, I'm struggling a little bit with explaining it today, but I feel it very deeply, and if I feel it, we're all going to start feeling it very soon, because it does change your life. You know, as we encounter the I am more and more, the quality of our prayers change. Just like the prayer that I had about the hummingbird that was stuck in the social hall, where I was praying, first thinking I was going to pray, get the bird out of the social hall, God, come on, I know you can do it. Instead, it turned into more of thy will be done. I've been thinking a lot about this Jennifer Russell event that we're having coming up on the 13th, and thinking about my early days in ministry, where it felt like everything was about me, and it felt like if people didn't come to the events that we put on as a church, it was like people not showing up at your birthday party, and so I would start out by secretly begging God, please, bring people to this event so I can feel good about myself. And then I would say, oh, no, that's not what religious science people do. So I would affirm, I now know that hundreds of people are showing up, using my will to draw people out of their living rooms, walking down Santa Clara Street like the night of the living dead, holding spatulas and sofa cushions and TV remotes saying, how did I end up here? It must have been Reverend Bonnie's will that drew me in. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Right. Now when I pray, and when I'm praying for this beautiful Jennifer Russell event that we're having, and it's so funny. There are so many layers to everything that we do here. Right now there's this layer where we're not exactly allowed to advertise for things because of certain permitting issues, so it's just all got to be word of mouth. And I am learning to see limitation as a new form of creativity. Limitation, as we talked about in class the other night, limitation is the new creativity. And so I am absolutely just knowing that whoever is supposed to show up, whether it looks like you or your neighbors or anybody, people that we don't even know, whoever is supposed to show up will show up, and that it's just going to be a beautiful, heart-opening event. And if you're supposed to be there, you will be there. And I don't care if it's 10 or 200, it is going to be spectacular. And that is such a more joy-filled, happier, beautiful, wonderful place to be. That it's not about me. It's about God. It's about Spirit, just getting to play in Spirit's playground, which looks like this right now. And how fun is that? How fun is that when your whole world becomes Spirit's playground? That is so much fun that you will fall in love with yourself and fall in love with your life and fall in love with everyone in it. Okay, then. All right, you heard it from me first. Well, no, probably not first, but you heard it from me today. So in closing, I want to tell you what happened with the hummingbird. We did the prayer, and right before I went into the sanctuary, I said to Annette, by the way, what happened with that bird? And she said, oh, it flew out the door. It flew out the door, and you have to tell the congregation because there were some people in the congregation that day that were very worried about the bird. So did my prayer cause the bird to fly out the door? I don't know. For all I know, maybe Keith and Mia, our hospitality goddesses, put a lot of fruit and flowers on their head, like Carmen Miranda, and and said, come to Papa, and backed out the door. Now that would be answered prayer, just so you know, okay? We don't know why things happen much of the time. We like to guess about why things happen. But I am getting more and more comfortable, and I hope that you are getting more and more comfortable with the realization that life is a mystery. And it's not a mystery that is dark and scary, Night of the Living Dead type thing. It is a mystery of incredible good. It's a mystery because we just are in the process of cultivating the eyes to see that good, and the ears to hear that good, and the hearts to receive that good. So, as we let go of control and allow control to be surrender, as we recognize that our universe is our perception and our projection, and as we recognize that I is the I am that creates all things through us, then we really start to expand our hearts, and we can receive ever expansive, ever infinite realms of omnipresence that is available for us right now. Let's receive it together. Let us pray. And so I turn within and just breathe and let go and let God and allow myself to be. All of these words that activated something within every single person here today, creating a beautiful soup of spirit that we all abide in, that we all swim in. We feel the energy in this room, this energy of sacredness, this energy of grace, this energy of deep and profound love, the love beyond love. the energy of mystery, the energy of expansiveness, the energy of Spirit's heart's desires implanted within us. And in this moment, we fall in love with God. We fall in love with the I Am. And we fall in love with the life of the I Am that is. The life of the I Am that is, living and moving and having its perfect being through each of us in wonderful and mystical and sometimes surprising ways. We allow ourselves to surrender to the goodness of the I Am and allow it to cleanse our perspective, to see the world anew. And whether it is we are dealing with a personal challenge or a global challenge, we see the presence of God and the capacity for good in everything. We simultaneously hold the darkness and the light, knowing that it is all part of the mystery. And we just bless that which our human minds cannot completely comprehend, but we bless it and we name it good. I am so grateful for the spiritual healing that has taken place here this morning, for the opening up to a magnificent life, to the soothed hearts and cherished souls that came here seeking answers and perhaps found answers, but also found more questions. I am so grateful for this spiritual center and for every single person in it, for all of us collectively creating this incredible, incredible place where we can come together and be together in darkness and light and in love, the love that encompasses all of that. I bless this center as I bless all spiritual paths. I bless churches, temples, mosques, and ashrams. I bless fundamentalists and atheists. And I know that everyone is a blessed blessing. And so with a heart that is so filled with gratitude and so filled with blessedness, I say, thank you, Spirit, thank you, God. And I release these words into the mystery, and together we say, and so it is.
I can only give you love that lasts forever, and a promise to be near each time you call. And the only heart I own is for you and you alone. That's all. That's all. I can only give you country walks in springtime and a hand to hold when leaves begin to fall, and a love whose burning light will warm the winter nights. That's all. That's all. There are